So I don't have a specific section that I wanted to reference with regard to this, but I want to talk about this with regard to the lease, overall lease in general. Like I said, it ties a little bit into occupants versus leaseholders, but it ties into just about everything in the lease agreement. In New Jersey, source of income is a protected class. And in various states around the country, there are states that have source of income as a protected class, but that can mean different things. In New Jersey, it basically means everything. So what I mean by that is, for those of you, I'm sure you've all sat through some fair housing classes, but you know, when somebody falls within a protected class, you cannot discriminate against them. And what it means with regard to source of income is that you cannot discriminate with regard to any sources of their income. So for instance, if they receive alimony, you have to include that in your selection criteria, your qualification criteria. It means you cannot in New Jersey refuse to accept any type of housing voucher, whether that's through HUD as Section 8 or through some type of tax credit or any of those types of sources of income. You have to accept it in New Jersey. You have to be a part of those programs if they have those types of voucher. Additionally, what it means when you are qualifying somebody for the rent that may be listed on your lease. So say your lease agreement calls for $1,000 in rent. If a person receives a $500 Section 8 housing voucher, then you can only adhere your qualification criteria to the remaining 500. So what do I mean by that? So normally, let's say, for instance, you require them to make 3 times the monthly rent. So in a situation where their lease calls for $1,000 in rent, then you would require them to make $3,000 a month in order to qualify. If they receive a voucher for $500 through Section 8, you then can only attach that criteria to the remaining $500. You can no longer require they make $3,000 a month. You can require that they make $1,500 a month. So that kind of, I've seen it over and over again where people are still holding on to that selection criteria, that qualification criteria with regard to the full monthly rent listed on the lease agreement. So you want to make sure that you're only doing it to the part that $500 is guaranteed. You only do it to the remaining $500. Again, all sources of income, child support, alimony, everything needs to be taken into account when looking at whether a person qualifies for the rent that you have listed for a particular apartment. Like I said, with regard to occupants and leaseholders, if one person qualifies for that rent listed, then list everybody still as a leaseholder. It only serves to protect you in that regard. And again, if there's further questions on sources of income, I urge you to reach out to your counsel because this is an area of confusion that I've seen over and over again with regard to the lease, and it's something that can kind of get you in trouble here in New Jersey.